We are at chapter 15, James Buchanan, most famous for being the president right before the Civil War. So we'll have a lot more to say about Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson, Ulysses Grant, as we go into those particular chapters. But for here, I want to talk about James Buchanan's last best persuasive chance to avoid civil war. There are a lot of reasons for the Civil War, plenty of blame to go around, but I think one of the aspects that's not as well explored is a failure of persuasive communication. And we had an opportunity to talk about core values at that time and use them to persuade groups on both sides for their own reasons to avoid civil war, and we missed the opportunity to do that. Again, lots of causes, but this was an important missed opportunity. So I want to frame up what I mean by that, and what I mean by core values, what I mean by kind of the cognitive biases we see when we have core values. So I'm going to read you an excerpt of the beginning of the chapter. There's plenty more detail, but I think this is important for not just this chapter, not just in a historical context, but I think you'll be able to see this is a very modern issue that we continue to struggle with today. So here we go, chapter 15, James Buchanan, freedom is an F word. What did the National Rifle Association, Philip Morris, McDonald's, and Victoria's Secret all have in common? On the surface, very little. One advocates for firearms. Another one sells cigarettes. One is among the largest restaurant chains in the world. The last transformed the market for lingerie. They couldn't be more different, could they? But they're not. I intend to show you how similar they really are. Consider the following statements. American citizens have a freedom guaranteed by the Second Amendment to the Constitution to purchase firearms. People have the freedom to choose for themselves if they smoke. We offer a variety of menu items. People are free to choose the ones that fit their own health and budget needs. Women, and men for that matter, should be empowered to express their sexuality however they choose, free from the judgment of others. Do you notice a common word in each of those statements? It's freedom, of course, a concept deeply embedded in the American founding mythology. Freedom holds a revered status as a core value in American society, making it a popular and effective rallying cry to just about any argument. Thinking reasonably, a thoughtful cross-section of people could argue the opposing view on each of the statements I highlighted above. Consider these counter-arguments. Limits on military-grade weapons seem justified. Smoking should be discouraged and even restricted among certain groups, especially children. The health consequences of an individual's dietary choices do indeed impact the healthcare system. Some limits on portions and ingredients are warranted. There is a fine line between empowerment and exploitation. You can agree or disagree with the details, but if you find yourself bristling at one or more of those rational arguments, I'll argue that's precisely what the four organizations want. When marketers, advertisers, and salespeople use core values in their arguments, in this case, freedom, they know that it triggers a deep emotional response. When that happens, they also know that we are less likely to challenge the evidence they provide that follows. Our rational brain shuts down a little. The lizard brain takes over. They know it. They use it, and we're vulnerable. There are plenty of root causes for the Civil War in the United States. I can't cover all of them in detail. But there's one cause, a psychological reason that hasn't been fully explored. It's the misunderstanding and misuse of the word freedom in the years before the first shots were fired at Fort Sumter. Exploring this issue gives us a window into the utter failure of President James Buchanan's last chance to prevent the deadliest war in American history. That's it. That's the intro. And I hope that it'll help you kind of understand kind of what I'm getting at, where I'm going with this particular chapter, and understanding kind of the arguments and counter-arguments on both sides used in especially the Bleeding Kansas part of the conflict, kind of the beta version of the Civil War. So that's it. July 4th is still the date. It's the files are moving to Amazon. They're moving to Ingram Spark, so they're ready. Any place you want to get books, you can pre-order the ebook now on Amazon, and all others are on their way as well. And I'll give you an update when that happens. So Enjoy. Go get that pre-order now.